Today is April Fool's Day. I've just got time to wish people a happy April Fool's Day before 12 o'clock. This day traditionally reserved for japes, tricks, hoaxes, but today, sadly, it's the biggest prank has been played not by merry jesters, but by His Majesty's Treasury, by Rachel Reeves, and her national insurance hike bites today, a 9% increase cleverly disguised as a tax on employers. Yet, as we all know in economic truth, employers don't pay taxes. People do, workers do, you and I do. Now, to make it look more equitable, the Chancellor slashed the threshold for this so-called jobs tax from £9,100 to £5,000. This means it now kicks in for even the most modest of incomes. And if you thought this wasn't regressive enough, the abolition of the non-dom rule ensures that the truly rich, the hyper-mobile, the huge tax-paying elite are simply encouraged to leave the country altogether, taking with them their tax payments and their employees. And that, I fear, is redistribution in reverse. Now, Reeves will argue that she's doing this in the name of fairness. In fact, she says no one has proposed a better solution. I would rather suggest that she refer herself to the stack of reports on land value taxation, unearned income, NICs, wealth taxes. Perhaps she didn't see them. Maybe they were filed under inconvenient. And to placate small businesses, Reeves has raised the employment allowance from $5,000 to $10,500, a sweetener of sorts. But even with this change, industry groups warn of slower wage growth, job losses, price hikes. The Office for Budget Responsibility estimates up to 76% of the extra employer cost will eventually fall on employees through suppressed wages. Now, here's the kicker. This budget didn't even raise the $25 billion that Reeves promised. After the OBR's scrutiny, the number collapses to just $14.6 billion net. So we get the pain without the promised gain. It's all a big facade. But perhaps the most insidious element of this policy of Rachel Reeves is its impact on the labour market's psychological and economic architecture. Earlier this year, the Resolution Foundation noted that graduate salaries have been converging with the minimum wage. 20 years ago, a median graduate earned 2.5 times what a minimum wage worker did. By 2023, it was just 1.6 times what the minimum wage worker earned. And that trend worsens today. What we are witnessing is the gradual eradication of salary differentiation. Now, minimum wage rises, uncelebrated uncritically by MPs across the aisle, have been imposed without productivity increases. Skilled labour is demoralised. Investment in education, training and expertise now comes with the diminishing return of earning roughly the same as someone pulling pints. The result? A slow death of aspiration. If a graduate data analyst earns $26,000 and a newly bumped up barrister earns $23,000, the incentive to invest in human capital wanes, unless you genuinely enjoy your time in university learning how to do data analysis. And you may. I'm not decrying that at all. But I'm saying if you're only doing the data analysis because you want a better wage, that's a waste of time. Go and learn how to pour coffee. And as the price of low-skill services rises, middle-income families are caught in a pincer. Stagnant wages above, inflating prices below. And let's not forget Margaret Thatcher, who once held her fingers apart in the Commons to illustrate that it was not the gap between rich and poor that mattered most, but whether everyone was becoming better off. Today we have narrowed that gap, and done so by pushing everyone down.
I think I must have hit the right nail on the head when I pointed out that the logic of those policies are they'd rather have the poor poorer. Once they start to talk about the gap, they'd rather the gap was that. Down here. That. Not that. But that. So long as the gap is smaller, so long as the gap is smaller, they'd rather have the poor poorer. You do not create wealth and opportunity that way. You do not create a property-owning democracy.
Reeves' budget was sold as pragmatic. It is, in fact, performative, it's theatrical, it's a fetish of equality over prosperity. It confuses redistribution with reduction. Even celebrity chef Tom Kerridge, who endorsed Labour, has warned of mass restaurant closures. Care homes and nurseries face price hikes or cuts. Local councils, charities, the NHS, all must be reimbursed or reshuffled to accommodate this tax raid. It's no surprise that business confidence has plummeted. The OBE has halved growth forecasts for 2025, and what are the long term? The Conservatives estimate that this tax will make the average family £3,500 worse off by the next election. One might call that cost of living Labour-branded. So here we are on the 1st of April, with a Chancellor who claims to protect working people while taxing work, who hails fairness while damaging ambition, who promises growth while pulling up the ladders that lead to it. Rachel Reeves didn't just tax. She didn't just raise taxes, she raised doubts about fairness, about growth, about whether this government understands, let alone values, the mechanics of aspiration. This, set all the way back in October, this was a budget for despair, and now the despair today kicks in. So weep, 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 as William Blake